All right, let's jump right in. Today we're diving into a really high-stakes legal showdown happening in Washington, D.C. It's a U.S. congressman going head-to-head with one of the country's top housing officials. And believe me, this is way more than just a political spat. It gets to a huge question about privacy and power.
So think about this for a second. Could your most private financial information, like your mortgage application, be dug up and used against you for political reasons? That's the real fear at the heart of this whole case, and it's a question that, honestly, could affect anyone who's ever taken out a home loan.
Okay, so who are the main people at the center of this? On one side, you've got Representative Eric Swalwell. He's a Democrat from California, and he's the one who filed the lawsuit. And on the other side is Bill Pulte, the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, that's the FHFA. He's the defendant, the guy being sued.
Let's get right into the lawsuit itself. I mean, this isn't your everyday court filing. We're talking about an accusation that a powerful government official used his position to go after a political opponent. And yeah, it's kicked off a major firestorm.
So what's the lawsuit actually about? Well, the main claim is this. Swalwell is alleging that Bill Pulte used his official power to dig into his private mortgage records without any good reason. The lawsuit says this is a clear violation of federal laws that are supposed to protect us from exactly this kind of thing.
But that begs a pretty big question, right? Why was Pulte even looking at Swalwell's records in the first place? Well, that takes us to the accusation that started this whole mess.
It all started on November 13th when Pulte sent a criminal referral over to the Department of Justice. His claim that Swalwell had committed mortgage and tax fraud. He alleged that Swalwell lied by saying his D.C. home was his primary residence, supposedly to get a better deal on his mortgage when everyone knows his real home is in California.
And Swalwell's response in his lawsuit? Well, he didn't mince words. He calls the whole accusation patently false, just straight up not true. But he doesn't just leave it at that. He brings the receipts. And here is the core of his defense. The lawsuit points directly to a sworn affidavit from the mortgage paperwork. In it, it apparently says very clearly that the D.C. house would be his wife's primary residence, but not his. And that detail is absolutely crucial, because he has to stay a permanent resident of California to even be a congressman for his district. So as you can see, this is way more than just a he said thing over a loan. The lawsuit frames this as a much bigger fight, one about our rights to privacy and about political payback.
The whole legal case really hinges on this one law, the Privacy Act of 1974. This law came about right after the Watergate scandal, and its entire purpose was to stop the government from weaponizing the private info it has on all of us. Swalwell is basically saying, hey, that is exactly what happened here. And it's not just about that one privacy law. The lawsuit makes a whole bunch of claims. On top of the Privacy Act, it alleges his First Amendment rights were violated, that this was retaliation based purely on his political views, and that Pulte just flat out abused the power of his job. Then, the filing tries to connect the dots to something even bigger. It alleges that Pulte's actions aren't happening in a vacuum, but are part of a wider campaign by the administration to, and I'm quoting the lawsuit here, seek retribution against his political enemies.
And to back that up, to show this isn't just a one-off thing, the lawsuit basically says, hey, look, Congressman Swalwell isn't the only one this has happened to.
And this is where they bring in other big names. The lawsuit states that Pulte has made similar mortgage fraud referrals against other prominent Democrats like New York's Attorney General Letitia James, Congressman Adam Schiff, and Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. The legal team is trying to paint a very clear picture of a targeted campaign.
And listen, these aren't just empty claims. Some of these other cases are already playing out. For example, that referral against Letitia James, it was just dismissed by a federal judge. Meanwhile, Lisa Cook's case is actually heading all the way to the Supreme Court.
Okay, so with all that as background, what does Congressman Swalwell actually want to get out of all this? What's at stake as this moves forward?
He's asking the court for a few key things. First, he wants what's called declarative relief. That's basically a formal ruling that his rights were violated. Second, he's seeking financial damages. And third, and this is a big one, he wants an injunction, a court order, forcing the FHFA to officially take back that criminal referral. Oh, and of course, he wants them to pay for his lawyers.
And this all really boils down to one huge question that's so much bigger than this one case. Where do we draw the line between legitimate government oversight and political targeting? In our super divided political world, that's the question the courts, and really all of us, are going to have to grapple with.